welcome back. This is Positive Solutions for Families, session number 3. My name is Ellen Olson. I'll be your host through these sessions. I work for Cornell Cooperative Extension of Oneida County in the Child Care Council program. For more information on any of the programs at CCE Oneida, please see cceoneida.com. Or if you have any questions on the Positive Solutions for Families, want information on child development or parenting tips, or want information on the Child Care Council, please email me at elp32@cornell.edu. Here is the website for Cornell Cooperative Extension of Oneida County and my contact information. Please contact me with any questions, or if you want more information about Positive Solutions for Families, or if you would like a copy of the workbook. Welcome back to Positive Solutions for Families. Today, we're going to focus on why children do what they do. First of all, we're going to talk about what happened when you played with your child using positive parenting tips. We're going to talk about the behaviors you'd like to see less of and more of, and how you might encourage your child. We're going to focus today on determining the meaning of our child's behavior. We're going to talk about being clear about our expectations. And we're going to discuss how to develop and teach household rules as an example of making our expectations clear. Last session, we continued to build on making deposits and encouraging children. We also talked about play and how important it is for you to play with your child and follow his or her lead. You are going to find time to play with your child. How did that go? What kinds of things did you do? How did your child respond? Was it hard to follow their lead? How did you feel? Did you see the benefits? Did you try the ideas we discussed around supporting your children's friendship skills? Did they go to the park or have a child over to play? What happened? How did your child do? It would be great if you could continue to try and find time to play with your child, even though the things to try at home this week might not focus on play. I also want you to keep using positive comments and encouragement, as well as making deposits in your child's relationship tank. The second things to try at home activity was to start thinking about the kinds of behaviors you would like to see less of and the behaviors you want to see more of. You're going to think of ways to encourage your child to use the behaviors you'd like to see more of. Now, take a few minutes to look at activity number 8 in your workbook. This is your encouragement and positive comment form. You all did a great job playing with your children this week. Let's get started on this week's topic. Why do children do what they do? You've probably asked yourself that question many times. Behavior is meaningful and it communicates a message. Behavior is a communication. When children don't have an appropriate way to communicate a message, such as talking, signing, using picture symbols, they often resort to using challenging behavior, hitting, screaming, spitting, kicking, as a way to communicate that they want or need something. A child who has limited social skills or who has learned over time that engaging in challenging behavior will meet his or her needs effectively may use challenging behavior instead of language, even if they have language. Simply put, children engage in challenging behavior because it works for them. It works for them to send a powerful message, which results in the child obtaining something, attention, toy, food, or escaping something from someone, such as a demand to get ready to go or pick up their toys, attention, or stimulation. First, let's look at a video And while you're watching the video, I'd like you to see if you could determine what the child's trying to communicate. Describe what the child is doing. And number 2, see if you can figure out what the child is trying to communicate.
All right, we got 10 seconds, and then we're going inside. Ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, next outside. Come on, stand up. Stand up. Into the door.
If you would like to watch the video again, please stop this video and rewind it and watch it as many times as you need to so that you can see if you can determine what the child is trying to communicate. This video shows a mother and child going to the library. This behavior is something that happened frequently. What did you observe? What behavior got your attention? What do you think the child was trying to communicate? Was it easy or difficult to describe what the child's doing? Was it easy or was it difficult to try to figure out what the child was communicating? It can be fun trying to figure out what the child's trying to tell us. Would you consider this to be an example of challenging behaviors? Different people have different views about behaviors and what's considered challenging. You've probably seen situations where you silently say to yourself, why is that parent not doing something about her child? Something that drives you crazy may not even bother the person next to you. The families and cultures in which we were raised and our personal experiences have formed our emotions and beliefs about many things, including child behavior. Values and beliefs often involve strong emotions, and our actions often have tremendous influence over whether our child's behavior gets better or worse. Sometimes the things we do to try to make a challenging behavior stop actually make it stronger. And don't forget that children bring their own personalities to the mix. Some children are tougher and more stubborn, and some are more sensitive than others. Here is an activity that you can play with your adult friends who are parents or other relatives who are parents. This will help you see that people have different ideas about parenting and challenging behaviors. Take 4 sheets of paper. On each sheet of paper, you're going to write something different. One will be strongly disagree. The next one will be disagree. The next one, the third one, will be strongly agree. And the fourth one will be agree. Post them on 4 different walls in your space. Then listen to the next 4 statements. Have the parents go to the sheet of paper that most strongly reflects their opinion on these statements. Then discuss why you think everyone has the different opinions. Remember, we're not here to judge, debate, or defend each other's beliefs. We're here to listen and to respect each other's differences. This just helps us see that we all have different points of view. Statement 1. Remember, go to the sheet of paper that most closely reflects your opinion on these statements. I think children should never drink soft drinks, soda, like Pepsi, Coke, 7-Up. Statement 2. I would buy my child whatever he or she wants, then have people stare at me because he or she is having a temper tantrum in the grocery store. Statement 3. Remember to go to the sign that most aligns with your opinion on this statement It is just bad parenting. It's the parent's fault when a child continues to exhibit challenging behavior. Statement 4. Children who hurt other children should be removed from that setting, park, preschool, whatever it is. This is a fun way to show that we all have differing thoughts and ideas about challenging behavior. It's also a reminder that you should feel free to express your thoughts and opinions and know that your comments will be respected. Now, let's listen to a story and see how this story reflects different ways of communication.
Today we will be reading Knuffle Bunny, a cautionary tale by Mo Willems. Not so long ago, before she could even speak words, Trixie went on an errand with her daddy. Trixie and her daddy went down the block, through the park, past the school, and into the laundromat. Trixie helped her daddy put the laundry into the machine. She even got to put the money into the machine. Then they left. But a block or so later, Trixie realized something. Trixie turned to her daddy and said, "Aggle flaggle clabble." "That's right," replied her daddy. "We're going home." "Aggle flaggle clabble," said Trixie again. "Blaggle plaggle, wumpy flappy, snurp." "Now please don't get fussy," said her daddy. Well, she had no choice. Trixie bawled. Wah! She went boneless. She did everything she could to show how unhappy she was. By the time they got home, her daddy was unhappy too. As soon as Trixie's mommy opened the door, she asked, "Where's Knuffle Bunny?" The whole family ran down the block, and they ran through the park, they zoomed past the school and into the laundromat. Trixie's daddy looked for Knuffle Bunny, and looked, and looked, and looked, but Knuffle Bunny was nowhere to be found. So Trixie's daddy decided to look harder, until... Knuffle Bunny! And those were the first 2 words Trixie ever said. The end. If you enjoyed the book,
This book is a fun story about a little girl named Trixie. Trixie is trying to communicate something. Could you figure out what Trixie was trying to communicate with her mom and dad? Did mom and dad have different ideas about what was happening with Trixie? I like this story because it shows you how frustrating it is to be a child and not be able to get your point across to your parents. Now, let's go back to our discussion about behavior. Does trying to determine the meaning of behavior want to go home and try to observe your child? Do you want to try and see if you can figure out why he or she does some of the things they do? It's fun to figure out your child's behavior. It's kind of like being a detective. The more you observe, the more clues you will have to figure out why they do what they do. Now let's look at your Positive Solutions for Families workbook at the Things to Try at Home, activity number 9. You'll see one of our activities for next week. Take a few minutes and look at this form. As you can see on the form, you will be observing your child when he or she is using a challenging behavior, one of those that you would like to see less of. You're going to look at what happens before the behavior starts and record it on that and record it on the sheet. You can check one of the things that's already listed on the form under the what happened before column. I told or asked my child to do something, changed or ended my child's activity. I removed an object from my child. An object was out of reach. My child was doing an activity he or she didn't like. My child requested something. Then you're going to observe what happens after the behavior stops. Again, you can check one of the areas on the form. I gave my child my attention. I gave my child an activity, object, food. I removed my child from an area. I ignored my child. I used timeout. I punished or scolded my child. I withdrew my request or demand. I hugged my child. I helped my child, or other. Or you can write down something different on the chart. Now that we know how to use this form, let's practice by watching the same video that we watched before. Let's see if we can use this form to determine the reason for the child's behavior. How would you describe the challenging behavior? What do you see? What happened before and what happened after?
All right, we got 10 seconds, and then we're going inside. Ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, next outside. Come on, stand up. Stand up.
What did you see? How would you describe the challenging behavior? What happened before and what happened after? Now that you have practiced, you are ready to be a detective this week. This will help you look for clues to try and figure out why your child does what he or she does. This might even help you begin to look at your child's behavior in a new way. You'll notice that you have several copies of this form, so you can practice observing your child on several different occasions. Let's talk about time out. When behaviors happen, we may need a timeout. This is a strategy that most families have heard of, but let's talk about timeout. A timeout may be necessary for some behaviors and for some children. Timeout is effective when the behaviors are done to get the parent's attention. Timeout may also be used when a child is so angry or destructive that he or she must be removed from a situation to calm his or herself down. When children engage in these types of behaviors, parents are usually very angry and also need a chance to calm down before you address the behavior with your child. If you use timeout with your child, it should be implemented in the following way. When a challenging behavior occurs, provide a very brief explanation, such as, "You cannot hit me to get my attention. Hitting hurts." It is not safe, so you will need to be in timeout until you're calm. Have your child practice the Tucker Turtle technique or deep breathing. You do the same thing and model the activity. Timeout is usually very brief, 3 to 4 minutes. Set a timer for your child or let him or her know you will watch the clock on your watch. Only end the timeout if your child is calm. If they continue to be upset, you can calmly tell them when you are calm, you can leave the timeout. Again, practice the deep breathing techniques or Tucker Turtle to help them learn to regulate their own emotions. When you practice this and model this so that you regulate your own emotions, that helps the child learn it's appropriate to do. If your child gets up from timeout before it's over, calmly guide the child back and tell him or her, you must stay in timeout until you're calm. It is very important that you do this calmly and with a minimum of talking to your child. Don't lecture. Timeout works because the child can't get your attention by using the problem behavior. It also works because you're using that time to help them practice calm down skills. Once the timeout is over, your child can return to an acceptable activity. You can calmly remind the child to behave appropriately by saying, I'm glad you are calm. You can go play. Remember to use your words to solve problems. Share your toys. Practice your calm down breathing techniques. This statement should be brief, not a lecture, and be positive. As soon as possible, praise your child for appropriate behavior in the activity. Be careful about using this technique. You should never threaten your child with a timeout for several reasons. One of the reasons is threatening a child with timeout gives the child the attention they're seeking. It also causes undue stress on the child as it is actually a threat. You should never allow other children to tease the child in timeout. Timeout is a time to practice self-regulation and calming skills so that we can calmly come out and solve a problem. You should never give timeout long after the incident has happened. Timeout should be utilized while the child is upset and in the situation. A child can't put together something that happened in school that they're getting a timeout for after school. You should never use it as your only approach. We're going to talk about many approaches. Teach your child new skills so that they can replace the skills that are not acceptable. Never scold or berate your child when putting them in timeout. You need to model being calm, taking deep breathing, and calming yourself down. While timeout can give you and your child time to calm down, it does not teach a new skill. You must teach your child new ways to behave, to express emotions, and to solve problems. Let's talk about a situation. Here's a child hitting his younger brother. The mom says, you hit your brother. You need to use your words to solve problems. You will have to go in timeout until you're calm. No, I don't want to go. You can go by yourself or I can help you. Okay. Child goes to the chair and sits down. After he sits down, he gets up from the chair and walks off. If you do not stay in the chair, you will have to do a timeout in the bedroom hall. Child returns to the chair. After 3 minutes have passed, the child is calm. Mom walks over and says, all done with timeout. You may go play. Remember to use your words to solve problems. I would like it if mom posts a picture of Tucker Turtle or breathing activities in that timeout area so the child can practice breathing and being calm. Mom can also practice these techniques so the child sees her modeling how to stay calm in these situations. That is also teaching your child a way to regulate themselves during these times. Now, let's talk about making your expectations clear. I want to give you an additional powerful parenting tool to think about. This tool is to make sure your child knows exactly what you expect. Often, we give children information about what we do not want them to do without ever really teaching them what our expectations are. What do we want them to do? You may even have given up on asking your child to do things because you're so frustrated with his or her behavior. So let's stop and carefully consider if your child knows what to do. Some behavior occurs because your child doesn't know how to act differently, and some because your child won't act differently. Either way, it helps to know that your child is not being expected to read your mind. Give one clear instruction at a time. Young children cannot follow more than 1 or 2 instructions without pictures and steps. When confronted with a challenging behavior, we tend to conclude that the individual either can't or won't do otherwise. Can't suggests that a child lacks a necessary skill or ability. Won't suggest that the child has the necessary ability but appears to be deliberately refusing to engage in a more desirable behavior. Remember, we tend to react differently depending on the way we're leaning. Or sometimes we just freeze because we're so uncertain about why a child is doing what he or she is doing that we don't know what to do next. In the middle of a challenging situation, it can be very hard to determine whether the child's behavior is a result of they can't do something or they won't do something. Here's a good rule of thumb. When in doubt, assume they can't do it, that they need help, that they need to learn new skills, at least until you're able to get more information about the child. A very important approach to getting a better understanding of can't or won't is to be very clear about what you're expecting in the way of the desired behavior. An excellent technique in that regard is to give one instruction at a time. Can your 4-year-old make her own bed? Will your 4-year-old make their own bed? Maybe, especially if you walk through the process with them. Ask them to begin by taking the pillows off the bed. Then pull up the sheet first on one side, then the other. Is the bed too close to the wall? Practice kneeling in the middle of the bed to pull the covers into place. Take it step by step until the bed is reasonably well made. What's a better way to say, this is activity number 10 in your workbook? We're going to practice stating clear and positive directions. Here are some of the demands that children sometimes have, that parents sometimes have for children. Think about other ways to say, stop yelling, don't throw your toys, stop bothering your sister, don't spill your milk, stop whining, be good, be nice, cut it out. Some directions are just too vague. Remember when we talked about being specific with your praise and encouragement so that your child knew what behavior that you were talking about? It's the same when you say cut it out. They might not be sure what behavior you're talking about. You need to be specific. See if you can come up with positive, clear directions for be nice, be careful, watch out, be good, enough of that, cut it out. Directions are more effective when they're stated in terms of what you'd like the child to do instead of what you'd like the child not to do. Open your workbooks to the positive words activity. Take a look at the don't column. At times, we may use phrases like this when we're talking to our children. However, young children often cannot figure out what our expectation is when we say no, don't, or stop. Instead, we need to tell our children what to do instead. Let's look at the first example together. Instead of saying don't run, what could we say instead? We could say, use walking feet inside. See if you can come up with alternative phrases so that your child knows exactly what you expect them to do. Write your responses in the do column. Now that you've completed the worksheet, let's go down the don't list and you can share how you rephrased this statement. How did it feel doing this activity? Was it hard to rephrase the statements? Do you think you could try this with your children? Do you think part of the reason your child uses challenging behavior is because he or she doesn't understand what you expect them to do? Help your child know what your expectations are. Let's develop a few simple household rules. We probably all have household rules that we want our children to follow, but have we written them down and taught them to our children? We're going to talk about ways to create your own household rules with your child, teach them to your child, and then use positive encouragement and positive comments to help him or her learn them and practice them. For young children, it's best to only pick 3 to 5 rules. State the behavior that you want to see. What does the behavior look like? Pick rules that can be applied in lots of situations. Here are some examples of rules. Clean up after yourself. Use an inside voice. Ask before you use something that is not yours. Use words to solve problems. What do you think of these rules? Is this a good rule? What is it lacking, or how could it be improved? Would your child know what this means? Would he or she know what you expect of him? Does it state the behavior you want to see? Don't tease or hit. Is this a good rule? What is it lacking, or how could it be improved? Would your child know what this means? Would he or she know what you expect? Does it state the behavior you want to see? What does it mean to tease? Put your laundry in the hamper. Is this a good rule? Would your child know what this means? Would he or she know what you expect of them? Does this behavior state what you want to see? Be nice to everyone is not very specific. It does not state a specific behavior that a child can do. It's not concrete. Nice is open to interpretation. The same with tease. They might understand what don't hit means, but don't tease is a little bit more vague. Put your laundry in the hamper is a good rule. It's very specific. It tells the child exactly what you expect of them. Now that you know how to develop rules as a part of your things to try at home activities, you can try to develop your own household rules by using the form in your workbook. This would be activity number 11 in your workbook. Household rules. During the next week, write your household rules on the form. You can put them on the refrigerator where everyone can see them. Look at handout number 12 in your workbook. This is a handout to help teach your child in the household rules. Teaching your child the rules is a very important way to help him or her be successful at meeting your expectations. Remember, we want to make sure they understand what we expect of them. Think about how you will talk to your child and explain the rules. Often, we teach only the rule when the child has violated it. For example, after Joey has hit and punched his sister to get a toy, mother says, "You need to go to your room and no snack today. You know the rule. You need to ask first." Think about how Joey is feeling at that moment. Is he relaxed? Is he listening carefully? Is he excited about learning new ways to behave? Is he happy to have his mother's attention? Is this a teachable moment? What if that was the first time anyone told Joey the rule? Do you think he is going to be able to learn it when he is upset? Do you think he even understands it? The best time to teach a rule is before a child is upset. Think about the last time you were very upset. Perhaps your spouse or partner was 1 hour late meeting you for dinner. You were very angry and proceeded to tell him or her how much it hurt your feelings and why he or she didn't use the phone to call you. Let's say your partner responded with, "If you talk to me calmly and nicely, I'll listen to you." How would you react? Don't you think it would make you more enraged? Would that be a teachable moment? Probably not. Teachable moments occur when everyone is calm and listening. Talk to your children about the rules, turn off the TV, ask them to join you on the sofa. Show your child the rule sheet. Read the rules to him or her. After reading a rule, ask your child what that rule means or show him or her what it might look like. Is that following the rule? Give them an example and ask them. Show your child where you will post the rules. Use encouragement and positive comments when your child follows the rules. Catch them being good. Do you think your child will follow the household rules? One way to get your child more involved is to let them help you develop the rules. They can be part of the process. Then you can practice, practice, practice. If you show your child the rules chart only one time and then forget to review it, he or she is likely to forget what's on it. To reinforce the idea that if you want your child to do something, you need to teach him or how to do it. You can help your child be successful by showing them and telling them the rule, practicing them the rule, and then celebrating. You got it. You did it. One way to teach the rules is to use photographs. You can take a picture of what you would expect your child to do and then model and teach your child how to follow the expected rule. For example, one rule might be to clean up after yourself. This might mean that your child needs to clean his or her hands after going potty, after playing finger paint, or playing outside with the dog. Cleanup can also mean that your child needs to clean up his or her own toys. You will need to model how to clean hands, washing your hands at the sink, and how to clean toys, putting toys in a cabinet or bin. Using a photo while teaching your child will help him or her recall the expectation. It is also a useful tool when you try to help your child remember the rule, because the photograph will help them recall what to do. Let's talk about things to try at home. This week, I want you to try to practice using your form, Why Children Do What They Do, to practice observing your child and try to determine what your child's behavior is trying to communicate. I would also like you to try to make a rules chart using words and pictures and review your new rules with your child. Review the rules every day. Remind your child of the rules before a challenging behavior can occur. Thank you for coming. See you next time. Have fun being a detective.